Hey Dad, you've been a funeral director now for 40 years. Do DIY funerals help with people who want to keep costs down?
They certainly can, but there are some traps. DIY funerals will help keep costs down. You're not having to pay for the funeral director's time and his expertise. Without the advice though, some DIY funerals have ended in disaster, while others simply actually cost them more. Let me share some do's and don'ts and some ideas about how you can keep the costs down. For instance, if you're just talking about a small gathering at home where you don't need the AV equipment, you've got your own TV, you don't need a microphone, you've got the venue all covered, certainly that'll work. But sometimes with larger venues, people get themselves into trouble. Recently I had a case where they didn't want to use our chapel because at $550 it cost too much. They found a hall that was only going to cost them $150. But then they ordered some AV equipment, sound equipment, microphones, stands, a lectern. Didn't have enough chairs, had to hire the chairs. They then had catering afterwards and had to actually hire all the catering equipment. And then, of course, with our streaming, we charged $225. They had to pay $1,500 for someone to come in and do it. Whole thing cost them thousands of dollars more than using our chapel that's got all of that gear in there. So yes, DIY can save on our professional fees, but you've got to be careful. We would have charged $500 for the professional fee to run that funeral. Way different than the thousands of extra dollars it cost them. Other things that people do DIY that get them in trouble are simple things like I think I mentioned on an earlier video, rushing off and getting the service sheets printed themselves can often cost them twice as much. There are some great ideas for DIY, and I think the best ones are where, again, you talk to your funeral director, find out what they can do, whether they can do some things at a better price than you can get them done yourself. But think about things like photos. If we're scanning photos, building a slideshow, it doesn't take us much to put a movie together, but it takes hours and hours of scanning photos. So you can be helpful and scan the photos yourself, keep some costs down. If you have a family who might want to spend a lot of time visiting the deceased, rather than using our services every time they come in, we have to charge for our staff coming in, weekends, after hours. If you took the casket home, you immediately take that whole piece out of the puzzle. Food is a great one. I had a family recently who wanted us to do everything, got to the end and the budget was about $2,500 too much. And I said to them, hey, what about the food? Instead of the caterers doing the food, why don't you get your friends to bring a plate? And they said, oh, I don't know about that. And I said, what is the one thing people say to you? They say, what can we do? Say, bring a plate. And my gosh, they bought food. They bought so much food, the family was eating for another week afterwards. And they were so thankful. Simple DIY things that didn't actually cost them anything, but the friends and those interacting were able to participate. People love to do something. So do I suggest DIY? Yes, I think I do, but cage it with what you're capable of doing. Simply talk to your funeral director, see what advice they have, weigh up what you can do, what's going to cause you stress, what the funeral director should do, and maybe tag team the funeral home in so that you do some, they do some. Paying for a little advice along the way may save a bundle at the end of the day.